recording. Let me share my screen. Is it visible, guys?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. No.
Okay, just a moment. You're able to see, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we are talking about this particular project, and we are trying to create a API related to this one. Okay. So let us click on this. Yeah. So which means that we are trying to create a system API, and we are exposing a resource which are trying to create some organization data. Okay. So we are trying to create this particular system API design. Okay. So tell me why design first approach we are trying to deal with it. Okay. So why we are starting with design first? Anyone?
To overcome the changes and to take the approval before starting development. Is it right way to
Okay.
start?
Blueprint of what we are going to develop.
Blueprint, what we are going to develop, that's okay. But so what is the primary advantage of doing this particular design?
We will understand the flow, what is required and
The
what.
next experience API development guy
Yeah, this
started
is the
the
one that I'm looking. So this is the answer that I'm looking. So if I'm working on system API design first, my experience API is going to parallelly develop it. They don't require to wait for it. Okay. Which means that in real-time scenarios, you will try to create your resource related RAML within 2 hours or 3 hours. Hardly I will try to give that particular amount of time only. Why? Because the moment you create this particular system API design, so my experience API people can work on their RAML. Okay. Which means that whatever the request that they are going, whatever the response that they are need to send it to external system, they are going to straightforwardly work on it based upon your requirements, your system API requirements. Okay. So from API perspective, experience API perspective, if I'm creating my design center related stuff, okay, so who is going to beneficiate? Okay, so I'm a developer who is creating an experience API. Whom I need to give this particular design?
Client.
Sorry,
Like client.
not client.
process
Okay,
API.
no. So who is going to use my experience API in general?
Users.
End users.
No, this is wrong way of representation. Not end
The
users.
system API.
No. Okay, so try to understand this particular.
External
thing.
systems.
Exactly.
Source system.
So this is my source system, which means that this guy wants to post something to this particular experience API, right? Which means that who is actually using it? My source system is actually using my experience API. Okay. And my experience API is calling my system API. My system API is calling my target system. This is my target system, right? So if I'm creating my design, okay, on what basis I'm trying to create it? So this guy is giving some response. Based upon this particular response, I'm creating this particular thing. Okay. So let me annotate it. Okay. So this is my target system, right? So this is my target system. Whatever it is expecting, so I'm trying to give it. So based upon this particular request and response, I'm trying to create my design for my system API, right? So I created this particular design. So who is going to use this particular design? My experience API is going to understand this particular design, whatever request payload that were defined in this particular thing. So he needs to pass it, right? So he is going to use it and he is going to design his RAML. Okay. So in RAML, what we have, whatever the things that we are expecting from external system and whatever things we are giving it back to them, right? So in this particular scenario, who is going to use my experience API? My, what is this? My source system, right? My source system is going to use my experience API. Okay. Why they are using it? They want to post some organizations, right? So they need to know what is the request I need to pass it. What is the response I'm going to get it? What is the query parameters is this particular experience API is expecting, right? So why I'm creating only SFTC here? Because all the requests from SFDC will only go to this particular project only, nowhere else. Okay. So today they are calling organizations. They want to get organizations or sorry, they post some organizations back to this particular target system. Okay. Tomorrow they are saying that, hey, I want to post some account data. Okay. Something like account data. I want to post it. Okay. Even at that time, they will try to call this particular same experience API, but with a different resource path. They will try to call it. And from here, we will try to call a different system API. Which system API? Let us say we are trying to pass it to SCAP system. We will try to call a system API of SCAP. So my endpoint, this particular project will be always used by my Salesforce system. Okay. And so whenever you're creating these particular experience APIs, what they will try to do, they will try to inject in their system. Okay. So let me put it this.
Please, can you repeat it in Telugu?
Okay, fine. So నాకు ఈ పర్టికులర్ దాంట్లో నాకు ఏమున్నాయండి, రెండు సిస్టమ్స్ మధ్య నేను ఇంటిగ్రేషన్ ట్రై చేస్తున్నాను. సో దిస్ ఇస్ మై సేల్స్ ఫోర్స్ అండ్ దిస్ ఇస్ మై ఓఎస్బిసి సిస్టమ్. ఓకే. వీటి మధ్య నేను డేటా ఎక్స్చేంజ్ కి ట్రై చేస్తున్నాను, రైట్? సో ఈ డేటా ఎక్స్చేంజ్ కి ట్రై చేసేటప్పుడు నాకేమవుతుంది, ఈ పర్టికులర్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ డేటా అన్న దాన్ని నా సేల్స్ ఫోర్స్ సిస్టమ్ అన్నది ఈ ఏపీఐని కాల్ చేసి పుష్ చేస్తుంది. హే, నా దగ్గర ఆర్గనైజేషన్ డేటా ఉంది, దీన్ని ఓఎస్బిసి సిస్టమ్ లో స్టోర్ చేయవా అని చెప్పి దేనికి చెప్తుంది, మన ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏపీఐని కాల్ చేసి చెప్తుంది. ఓకే. కాల్ చేసి చెప్పడం అంటే, సో ఇట్ ఈస్ ట్రైంగ్ టు కాల్ మై ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏపీఐ రిసోర్స్ అండ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ గివింగ్ దిస్ పర్టికులర్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ డేటా. నేను యాజ్ ఎ మ్యూల్సాఫ్ట్ డెవలపర్ వాట్ ఐ నీడ్ టు డూ, ఆ పర్టికులర్ డేటాను క్యాప్చర్ చేసి నేను ఎక్కడ పంపించాలంటే సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐకి పంపిస్తాను. ఏ సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐకి, ఏ సిస్టంలో అయితే నేను పాస్ చేయాలో, వాట్ ఈస్ మై టార్గెట్ సిస్టమ్, ఆ టార్గెట్ సిస్టమ్ నేమ్ తో నేను ఏం చేస్తానంటే ఒక సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐ క్రియేట్ చేస్తాను. దిస్ ఈస్ మై సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐ. సో దిస్ ఈస్ ఓన్లీ డెడికేటెడ్ ఫర్ ఓఎస్బిసి. ఓకే. ఇందులో నేను సేల్స్ ఫోర్స్ ని కాల్ చేయడం లేకపోతే ఇంకొక డిఫరెంట్ సిస్టమ్ ని కాల్ చేయను. ఓన్లీ నేను డెడికేటెడ్ గా ఈ పర్టికులర్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ లో రాసే అన్ని రిసోర్సెస్ ఓన్లీ ఓఎస్బిసిని కనెక్ట్ అవుతాయి. ఓకే. ఎ డెడికేటెడ్ సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐ రిలేటెడ్ టు యువర్ ఎక్స్టర్నల్ సిస్టమ్ ఆర్ ఎండ్ సిస్టమ్. ఓకే. సో ఇందులో నేను మల్టిపుల్ రిసోర్సెస్ రాస్తానండి, ఆర్గనైజేషన్స్, అకౌంట్స్, ఇన్సిడెంట్స్, వాట్ ఎవర్ ఇట్ ఈస్. ఓకే. ఎవ్రీథింగ్ విల్ గో టు దిస్ పర్టికులర్ సిస్టమ్ ఓన్లీ. ఓకే. అండ్ వాట్ అబౌట్ దిస్ పర్టికులర్ లేయర్, ఈ లేయర్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ లేయర్ లో నేను ఏం చేసి రాశాను, ఎస్ఎఫ్డిసి అని రాశాను. అంటే ఈ పర్టికులర్ ఎస్ఎఫ్డిసి సిస్టమ్ ఈ రోజు నాకు ఆర్గనైజేషన్ డేటాని ఎక్కడ పుష్ చేయాలనుకుంటుంది, ఓఎస్బిసి అనే సిస్టమ్ లోకి పుష్ చేయాలనుకుంటుంది. ఓకే. రేపొద్దున ఇంకొక సేల్స్ లీడ్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఏదో ఉందండి, సేల్స్ రిలేటెడ్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఏదో ఇంకొక సిస్టమ్ దగ్గరికి పుష్ చేయాలనుకుంటాను. ఓకే. లెటస్ సే ఎస్ఏపి అనే సిస్టమ్ కి పుష్ చేయాలనుకుంటాను. అప్పుడు నేనేం చేస్తాను, ఐ విల్ ట్రై టు క్రియేట్ వన్ మోర్ సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐ విచ్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు ఇంటరాక్ట్ మై ఎస్ఏపి. ఓకే. సో ఈ ఎస్ఏపికి ఒక సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐ క్రియేట్ చేసి ఆ సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐని ఇదే ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏపీఐ నుంచి కాల్ చేస్తారు. ఓకే, అప్పుడు నా ఎండ్ నా రిసోర్స్ ఏమవుతుంది, పోస్ట్ సేల్స్ అని అవుతుంది. ఓకే, ఆర్గనైజేషన్ అన్న దాన్ని ఓన్లీ నేను దేనికి యూజ్ చేస్తాను, ఓన్లీ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ డేటాని పాస్ చేయడానికి యూజ్ చేస్తాను. బట్ ఈరోజు రేపు రేపు టుమారో దే ఆర్ ఆస్కింగ్ అబౌట్ దిస్ పర్టికులర్ థింగ్, సేల్స్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ నాకు ఎస్ఏపి సిస్టంలోకి పోస్ట్ చేయంటారు. అప్పుడు మీరు ఇంకొక కొత్త ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏపీ క్రియేట్ చేయాలి. ద సేమ్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏపీ యూఆర్ ట్రైంగ్ టు యూజ్ ఇట్, బికాస్ దిస్ ఈజ్ ఓన్లీ డెడికేటెడ్ ఫర్ ఎస్ఎఫ్డిసి. All right. So you are going to create one more resource under this. And so this particular SFTC will try to interact with post sales. So నేను ఇక్కడ ఈ సిస్టమ్ అయిపోయిన కాల్ చేయను, ఓఎస్బిసి సిస్టమ్ అయిపోయిన కాల్ చేయను. నేను ఏ సిస్టమ్ అయిపోయిన కాల్ చేయాలి, ఎస్ఏపి సిస్టమ్ అయిపోయిన కాల్ చేయాలి. ఓకే, సో your system API is related to one external system. Your experience API is tying to one external system. Okay, so మీ ఎంటైర్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ లో ఏ ఎస్ఎఫ్టిసి సిస్టమ్ అన్నా ఏ పర్టికులర్ డిఫరెంట్ సిస్టమ్ కన్నా ఇంటరాక్ట్ అవ్వాలంటే వాళ్ళు ఏం చేస్తారంటే ఇదే ప్రాజెక్ట్ లో కొత్త రిసోర్స్ యాడ్ చేస్తారండి. అంటే మీ పర్టికులర్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ టీమ్ మెంబర్సే కాదు, మీ క్లయింట్కి సంబంధించి మిగిలిన మ్యూల్ టీమ్స్ కూడా ఇదే పర్టికులర్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ మీద వర్క్ చేస్తుంటాయి. ఓకే, సో లేదు అంటే ఇదే రిసోర్స్ ని రీయూజ్ చేసుకుంటుంది. ఓకే, సో యూ నీడ్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్ దిస్ వే. ఓకే, సో ఇది ఎవెన్చువల్ గా చూద్దాం, బట్ అట్లీస్ట్ యూ నీడ్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్ whenever I'm creating an experience API, it is tightly coupled or tightly dedicated to one source system. Okay, so ఇంకొక చిన్న ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చూద్దాం, so that you might understand clearly. Okay,
Sorry to interrupt you.
go on, miss.
Yeah, here our experience API is connected to SFDC, which is Salesforce database connection. That experience API.
No, wrong. Okay, SFDC side, they are going to configure your your experience API. Okay, whatever the resource
is
you
my
are
question.
exposing,
Who will create that experience API?
ourselves only creating it. We are going to create it. Okay, till now we are just trying to focus on system API.
Yeah, yes. Then
Okay.
we provide this experience API. Otherwise, we need to create priorly before creating this system API. We should create experience API. Then we have to interact with this source system. Is it
Okay,
correct?
so no. So in general, whenever you're starting with any API, your system API we will try to implement first. Okay, my system API implementation is the first one. Okay, based upon this, I'll try to go with my experience API and then I will try to expose it. Okay, why system API is first is your reusable components will be always in system API, not in the experience layer. Okay, so there are two approaches. One is your forward development approach and your backward development approach. Okay, so in this particular scenario, what we are trying to do is we are trying to implement system API. Okay, so if I'm comfortable with my system API, what my target system is expecting, so I can rely on my target system and I create request response. And by using my system API request response, I can create my experience API. Okay, that is how we are going to develop.
Okay. But
Okay.
here we are going in reverse direction. No? Now we
No.
are going.
No. So yesterday, what we have developed, guys?
System API
System API only we created it. Okay. So we are creating a system API. Okay. From this, okay, whatever the design that we have, created, from that, we are trying to create our experience API design also. Okay. Once I create experience API design, what I will try to do, I'll try to give to SFDC team, hey, this is my design. Okay. This is my request. This is my response. Okay. These are the query parameters I was expecting. Okay. So if I gave it to them, what they will try to do, they will try to understand, hey, this particular experience API, hey, mule guy is expecting this particular request. I need to form that particular request inside my software. Okay. So if you are giving this particular experience endpoint to your SFDC team, what they will try to do? Do they call it through Postman? No, they don't call it through Postman. they will try to configure your URL, your experience URL inside their SFDC systems, which means that they do have some UI, okay, user interfaces. The moment some user is doing some action, what they will try to do, they will try to call your experience API. Okay, so this is how they are configuring. So let us say you have your mobility system as source system. Okay, so the moment user is filling some form, the moment he is clicking on submit or drilling down something, so what they will try to do, they will try to call your experience API of mobility. Okay, a dedicated experience API for a dedicated source system, something like that you will try to create. Okay, so it is not like in experience API, we are trying to add a Salesforce connector. That is a wrong way of, visualization. We are not going to call a Salesforce connector or anything. Okay. Any connectivity where we are going to do it, we're going to deal with in your Salesforce, your system APIs only. Okay. So eventually you will try to understand, Mahisa, but at this particular moment of time, try to understand we are trying to create this particular API, the total API, but where we started it, we started with system API design first. Okay. So once this particular design is completed, what we will try to do, we are going to give this particular design to experience API people. Okay. But tell me one thing. So what is, you guys understand? Okay, let us say I got some requirement. I have something like 5 people in my team. Okay, I got something like one API. Should I give all the experience layer, system layer, everything to one guy, or do I need to separate experience API if I can give it to one person and system API to one person? Which is the best way to do it?
Distribution, separate.
Distribution. Why? Parallelly, they can develop it, right? So within a week's time, I can complete my API. If I give it to one particular person, hey, create system API, experience API, interact with the other system, everything. So if I'm giving it, so he might take 2 or 3 weeks time, right? So this is something like you're parallelly developing the things. Okay. Your experience API guy is not, creating your system API. Your system API who is creating by some team member and the experience API is creating by some other team member. Okay. Once my system API person is created design related stuff, design center asset, he is going to give it to experience API. Hey, experience API, I'm expecting these kind of stuff. Okay. Pass these kind of stuff from your experience API. Okay. And experience API people, what they will try to do, they look at this particular design of system API and they are going to parallelly implement their design of experience API. Once they complete that particular design, they will give it to this particular system, SFDC team. Hey, SFDC team, this is my URL. Oh, okay, some temporary URL. Okay. So do you know mocking service? In design
Yes.
center,
Yes.
we
Yes.
do have
Yes.
mocking service, right?
Yes.
So what is the purpose of that particular mocking service?
Temporary
Temporary
URL.
We
Which
can
means
share
that
We can
if
share
they
it
are
with
passing some temporary
URL.
payload, it is actually giving my response. It is not fully implemented, but somehow it is acting like a temporary variable or sorry, temporary URL, right? So I'm going to give
Like
that particular mock service, mocking
sorry
service.
to interrupt. Is it
Uh-huh.
working like a external dummy? I mean, a proxy external system?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Not external system. As experience API, it will try to work it.
Okay.
Okay. And I try to, I mean, so I'm a Salesforce guy. Let us assume that in this particular scenario. Okay. You guys are, mules of developers. And you gave me, so there is a requirement, this particular requirement. Okay. So maybe Julfi and Mahez are, team members, in a mules of team. So Mahisa started with system API and she created some design. Okay. So she completed the design center asset and she gave it to Julfia saying that, hey, Julfia, I completed my design within 3 hours. Okay. I started implementing my system API. You can take this particular reference and you can create your experience API design. Okay. Julfia can start working after 2 hours where I started my entire project. All right. So she can refer my system API and she can create my experience API design. Okay. After 2 hours, Julfia is also completed experience API related stuff. Okay. So at least from design center perspective, she completed it. Okay. She defined what is the request for my experience API, what is the response it is going to give it, what is the error responses it is going to give it, what is the client ID, client secret, some bare minimum stuff. She configured it. Okay. So this particular mocking service, she is going to give it to me. So I'm a SFDC person, right? So she is going to give it to me. So I will try to look at that particular temporary mocking service and I will hit it with that particular temporary request. So it is giving some sample response. It is not fully developed. So it is not a live data that I'm getting it, but somehow it is giving me some response. So what I will try to do, I'll try take that particular URL, okay, in my Salesforce system, okay. So let us say this organization database, okay. The moment salesperson is filling some data in my Salesforce software, I need to pass that particular organization data to this particular OSVC system. So that is my entire API. Okay. What I will try to do, I'll take that particular thing and I will try to configure inside my Salesforce. Okay. Like inside my submit button or something like save button, I'll try to configure this particular experience API endpoint. Right now I have only mocking service. I will try to configure that. Okay. The moment I'm clicking on save, I need to grab that particular, organization name from some field. Okay. You will try to enter in some specific text box, right? I will try to capture that. Okay. And every field I will try to capture it. The moment he's clicking on save, I will try to call this particular mocking service. Okay, so it is going to give me some response, even though it is not functional. I mean, fully not, live data. At least it is giving some response. I'm capturing that particular response in my SFDC. Okay, behind the scene, I will try to map it to some other fields in the UI. So this is how my parallelly, I'm also developing it. As an external system, I'm also consuming your service on the first day itself. So that is the concept of your design first approach. Okay. Even your external system is not going to wait for you. Okay. 1 week or 2 weeks once you started your development. So within 4 to 5 hours, he can also start parallelly their development. So this is why you are going with your design first approach. Okay. So no one is going to wait for your implementation to be completed. Okay. Once you complete your implementation, you deployed into development. Okay. Once you completed your development, you will again interact with Salesforce team. Hey, Salesforce team, don't use that particular mocking service. Try to use this particular original URL. Okay. Whatever you are posting it, it will directly interact with OSVC and you will get the same response back. So that's how you are going to build it. Okay. So first of all, you will try to give a mocking service to the external system once you complete your experience API. Okay. After 2 weeks or 3 weeks, once you develop your system API, once Julfia is completed experience API, okay, what she will try to do? She will try to give the actual development URL to SFDCT. Okay, what they will try to do, they will simply remove that particular mocking service and they will try to paste this particular thing, whatever Julfia has given, right? So that is how your development will be. Okay, so it is not like, in experience layer, we will try to drag and drop Salesforce connector. No, that is a wrong way of development. Okay, so any connectors which is interacting with my any system is always be in system API. Okay, so this will be clarified once we develop one or two one or two APIs. Okay, it will be clearer. Okay, don't worry too much about it right now, but at least try to understand, hey, why we are doing this particular design first approach. So that is the key principle. Okay, so they will more focused on, I mean, so whoever is coming from architect level to your interviews, they're more concerned about this particular design center. Okay, so why we are going for design center, they will try to ask you guys. Okay, so you need to explain this way. Okay, so if I'm designing my API first, no one is going to wait for my complete development cycle. They can still use the mocking service. So my source system can configure their kind of development. So this is how you need to express it. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Any other confusion here?
No, it's clear.
Okay. Yeah. So let me put it in Telugu also. Some people need it. Okay. See, మీరు ఒక ఏపీఐ డెవలప్ చేసేటప్పుడు మీరు ఏం చేస్తారంటే అండి, ఫస్ట్ డిజైన్ చేస్తారు. ఓకే, ఫస్ట్ సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐని డిజైన్ చేస్తారు. ఓకే, సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐని డిజైన్ చేసినప్పుడు మీరు ఏం చేస్తున్నారంటే ఒక 2 hours టైంలో మీరు ఏం చేస్తారు, ఓకే నా సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐకి ఏ రిక్వెస్ట్ కావాలి, ఏ క్వరీ పారామీటర్స్ కావాలా, యూఆర్ఎల్ పారామీటర్స్ కావాలా, ఓకే క్లయింట్ ఐడి క్లయింట్ సీక్రెట్ కావాలా, హెడర్స్ ఏం కావాలి, ఇవన్నీ కూడా మీరు డిజైన్ సెంటర్లో డిఫైన్ చేసేస్తున్నారు. ఓకే, ర్యామల్లో ఈ ర్యామల్లో డిఫైన్ చేసిన తర్వాత ఇది 1 or 2 hours కంప్లీట్ చేస్తారు. ఈ కంప్లీట్ చేసిన తర్వాత మీరు ఏం చేస్తారు, డేటా టైప్స్ కూడా డిఫైన్ చేస్తారు. ఓకే, ఈ ఫీల్డ్కి నాకు స్ట్రింగ్ కావాలి, ఈ ఫీల్డ్ లెంత్ ఎంత ఉండాలి, ఇది రిక్వైర్డ్ ఆప్షనల్, ఇవన్నీ కూడా మీరు సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐలో డిఫైన్ చేస్తారు. ఇవి డిఫైన్ చేసిన తర్వాత మీరు ఏం చేస్తారంటే పబ్లిష్ చేసిన తర్వాత లేకపోతే మాకింగ్ సర్వీస్ని మీరు ఏం చేస్తారు, ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏపీఐ పీపుల్ ఎవడైతే డెవలప్ చేస్తున్నారో ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏపీఐ వాళ్ళకి ఇస్తారు. వాళ్ళు ఏం చేస్తారు, ఓకే సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐ ఎక్స్పెక్ట్ చేస్తుంది కాబట్టి నేను ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏపీఐలో వేరే మినిమం కండిషన్స్ ఏం రాసుకోవాలి, ఏం క్వరీ పారామీటర్స్ తీసుకోవాలి, ఓకే లేదా నేను సిస్టమ్ ఏపీఐని కాల్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఈ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ అంతా పాస్ చేయాలి అని చెప్పి వాడు కూడా ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేసుకోవాలి కదండి. సో దట్ ఈస్ మై సోర్స్ ఆఫ్ ట్రూత్, మై మాకింగ్ సర్వీస్ ఈస్ మై సోర్స్ ఆఫ్ ట్రూత్, వాట్ ఐఎమ్ ఎక్స్పెక్టింగ్ యాజ్ ఎ సిస్టమ్ లేయర్. ఓకే, ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ లేయర్ కూడా వాళ్ళు ఏం చేస్తారు, విత్ 2 hours వచ్చేసాడు. ఓకే, ఎవరో సిస్టమ్ ఏపీ నేను ఈ పర్టికులర్ ఏపీ ఎప్పుడైతే స్టార్ట్ చేశానో ఆ 2 hours నాకు సిస్టమ్ ఏపీ డిజైన్ కంప్లీట్ చేసి ఇచ్చేసాడండి. ఆ డిజైన్ తీసుకుని నేనేం చేస్తాను, ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏపీ పీపుల్ కింద నేను దాన్ని బేస్ చేసుకుని నా ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏపీ డిజైన్ కూడా కంప్లీట్ చేస్తాను. కంప్లీట్ చేసి ఒక మాకింగ్ సర్వీస్ క్రియేట్ చేసి నేను ఎవరికి ఇస్తాను, అసలు నాకు డేటా పంపించేది ఎవరు, ఎస్ఎఫ్టిసి
SFTC.
సిస్టమ్ పంపిస్తుంది నాకు, వాళ్ళకి ఇస్తాను నేను. అరే ఎస్ఎఫ్టిసి పీపుల్, సో ఈ పర్టికులర్ యూఆర్ఎల్ని కాల్ చేయండి, నేను ఎక్స్పెక్ట్ చేసే రిక్వెస్ట్ ఎలా ఉండాలి, నేను పంపించే రెస్పాన్స్ ఎలా ఉంటుంది అని చెప్తాను. ఓకే, సో మీరు ఎప్పుడైతే రిక్వెస్ట్ ఫీల్డ్స్ ఇలాగ అన్నారు అనుకో, సపోజ్ నాకు జనరల్గా ఏముంటుందండి, ఎనీ యూజర్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్ లెటర్స్ మన ఓకే ఒక చిన్న థింగ్ చేద్దాం, జస్ట్ మూమెంట్. ఓకే, why it is not going. ఓకే, మన మ్యూల్సాఫ్ట్ ఇది ఓపెన్ చేస్తానండి, ఎండ్ పాయింట్ ప్లాట్ఫామ్ ఓపెన్ చేస్తున్నాను, నేను సైన్ అప్ కొడుతున్నాను. లెటర్స్ సే ఈ పర్టికులర్ అప్లికేషన్ ఇది ఒక వెబ్ అప్లికేషన్ అండి. ఓకే, మీకు టు బి ఫ్రాంక్ చెప్పాలంటే వీళ్ళు కూడా యూజ్ చేసేది ఏపీఐస్ యూజ్ చేస్తారు. ఓకే, అంటే నేను ఏం చేస్తున్నాను, ద మూమెంట్ యాక్సెప్ట్ అండ్ క్రియేట్ అకౌంట్ క్లిక్ చేయగానే వాళ్ళు ఏం చేస్తారంటే ఏపీఐస్ని కాల్ చేస్తారండి. ఓకే, సో అంటే లెటర్స్ సే ఈ పర్టికులర్ థింగ్ ఒక యూజర్ రిలేటెడ్ రిసోర్స్ని క్రియేట్ చేయడం అనుకోండి. ఓకే, ఒక కొత్త యూజర్ని క్రియేట్ చేయడం కదా మనం యాక్చువల్గా ఈ పర్టికులర్ దాంట్లో చేసేది. సో ఇక్కడ నేను ఫుల్ నేమ్ అని ఉంది ఈ పర్టికులర్ ఫీల్డ్కి. ఓకే, బట్ మనం ఏపీఎస్లో ఎప్పుడన్నా ఫుల్ స్పేస్ నేమ్ అని నేమ్ అని తీసుకుంటున్నాం అనుకోండి. లెటర్స్ ఏ నేను ఒక ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏపీఐని ఎక్స్పోజ్ చేశాను, ఏమని మ్యూల్సాఫ్ట్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏపీఐని ఎక్స్పోజ్ చేశాను, మ్యూల్సాఫ్ట్ వెబ్ అని చెప్పి, మ్యూల్సాఫ్ట్ వెబ్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏపీఐ. సో వీడు ఏం చేస్తాడు, యాజ్ ఎ యూజర్ ఇఫ్ ఐఎమ్ టైపింగ్ సంథింగ్ ఫుల్ నేమ్ ఇవన్నీ ఇచ్చిన తర్వాత నేను యాక్సెప్ట్ అండ్ క్రియేట్ అకౌంట్ అని క్లిక్ చేసినప్పుడు వాడు ఈ వెబ్సైట్ ఎందులో బిల్డ్ చేశాడో ఆ టెక్నాలజీలో నా యూఆర్ఎల్ని కాల్ చేస్తాడండి, నా ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏపీ యూఆర్ఎల్ని కాల్ చేస్తాడు. ఎలా కాల్ చేస్తాడు, ఈ పర్టికులర్ ఫుల్ నేమ్లో ఏదైతే ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఇచ్చానో ఆ వాల్యూని తీసుకుని నా ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఏపీ ఎలా అయితే ఓకే ఈ నేమ్ని ఏ ఫీల్డ్లో ఎక్స్పెక్ట్ చేస్తుందో దానికి అటాచ్ చేస్తాడు. నేమ్ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు సంథింగ్ లైక్ అమర్ అనేది అటాచ్ చేస్తాడు. ఓకే, ఆ పర్టికులర్ రిక్వెస్ట్ అంతా వీటి ఫామ్ చేస్తాడు ఇక్కడ ఫిల్ చేసిన డీటెయిల్స్తో. ద మూమెంట్ ఐఎమ్ క్లికింగ్ ఆన్ యాక్సెప్ట్ అండ్ క్రియేట్ అకౌంట్, హీ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు కాల్ దట్ పర్టికులర్ ఏపీఐ విత్ దిస్ పర్టికులర్ రిక్వెస్ట్ పేలోడ్. ఓకే, సో ఈ థింగ్ అంతా జరగాలంటే వాడు ఏం చేయాలి, ఈ బిహైండ్ ద సీన్ ఏం జరగాలి అన్నది వాడు కూడా డెవలప్ చేసుకోవాలి కదా. ఆ డెవలప్మెంట్ అన్నది ఎప్పుడు జరుగుతుంది అంటే నేను మాకింగ్ సర్వీస్ ఎప్పుడైతే ఇచ్చానో వాడికి అర్థమవుతుంది, ఓకే ఈ పర్టికులర్ EA team or MuleSoft team is expecting name, email, phone number under PH number or something. ఓకే దాని ఫీల్డ్ నేమ్. ఓకే కంపెనీ అని కాల్ చేయడం లేదు, వాళ్ళు ఆర్గనైజేషన్ అంటున్నారు. ఓకే కంపెనీలో ఇచ్చిన వాల్యూని నేను ఆర్గనైజేషన్ అనే ఫీల్డ్కి పంపించాలి ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ APIకి అన్నది వాళ్ళు సెట్ చేయాలి కదా బిహైండ్ ద సీన్ ఈ పర్టికులర్ వెబ్ పేజ్ బ్యాక్ సైడ్. ఓకే ఆ పర్టికులర్ డెవలప్మెంట్ చేయాలంటే మనం ఏం చేయాలి, మనం స్టార్ట్ చేసిన ఒక 1 డేలో ఈ పర్టికులర్ మాకింగ్ సర్వీస్ వాళ్ళకి ఇవ్వాలి సో దట్ దే కెన్ ట్రై టు కాన్ఫిగర్ దేర్ స్టఫ్. ఓకే సో దిస్ ఈస్ హౌ యువర్ డెవలప్మెంట్ విల్ బి. ఓకే ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ లైక్ మనం ఒక ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ APIని డెవలప్ చేసాం, ఒక సిస్టమ్ APIని డెవలప్ చేసాను. ఓకే ఇవి తీసుకెళ్ళి నేను వాళ్ళకి ఇవ్వనండి, ఎవరికి మన ఎక్స్టర్నల్ సిస్టమ్స్కి ఇస్తే అంటే SFDC ఎవరికో ఇస్తే వాళ్ళు పోస్ట్ మ్యాన్ నుంచి ఇచ్చారు. What they need to configure inside their particular system or their particular software. This is how they are going to develop. Okay, so your design first approach is something like you can creating some design and you are giving it to external system from experience point of time, okay, point of view, and they are parallelly developing their development also. Okay, even it is true for your target system and true for your source system also. Okay, this is how they are going to develop. Okay, clear?
Yes.
Any questions? Just a
No
moment.
questions.
You got it. Okay, so just a moment. Prashant, is it clear?
Clear. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Mark is
Sorry.
mark in the blue color mark.
Okay, fine. Yeah, got it. Where is the annotations? Okay. All right. So let me open my AnyPoint platform and where we hold it something sign in, right? I'm trying to log into this particular thing. Okay. So what we have developed, we try to develop this particular system API. Okay. So till now we haven't gone to our experience API. Okay. We're just trying to implement this particular system API design. Okay. Where is our mocking service? Where I can see it?
Right side.
Right
Yeah.
side
This
side.
one?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
console. In console, you can see.
Console. Okay. So
Make
use
public.
mocking service without authorization headers. Okay. Make it as public.
Copy the link
Okay.
that was generated.
Where? This
No,
one?
there's a public link. Yeah, that gets.
Okay. So let me hit it. Why it is
Oh, shit.
giving this particular thing? It
It's
should work,
not
right?
get method. It only allow get method, right?
Okay, fine. So my browser is only allowing me to have it a get method. So it doesn't have any container to have my post. Okay. You can add some plugins or you can use your Postman also. So this is for my testing sake. Okay. But is there any other way that I can, use some UI kind of thing where I can see it?
Publish to Exchange.
Yeah. So if I'm publishing to Exchange, there I can see something. What is that? Something like a UI that I can really interact with it instead of going with this particular kind of URLs. Okay. So that is how I can deal with it. Okay. But let us try to implement this particular thing one more step. Okay. So yesterday we tried to create some libraries, rights, resource type. What else we can add it?
Data type.
Yeah, I can add some data types so that, okay, so I can stop any request that is not compliance to my data type. Okay, అంటే data type అన్నది ఎందుకు యూజ్ చేస్తామండి మనం? So if I'm trying to use my data type, okay, I can strictly saying, hey, experience API, don't send any unnecessary stuff, unnecessary data. Okay, that particular data should have these fields, should have this particular length, should have bare minimum fields. అంటే రిక్వైర్డ్ ఫీల్డ్స్, ఆప్షనల్ ఫీల్డ్స్ అన్ని కూడా నేను ఎక్కడ డిఫైన్ చేస్తానండి? నా డేటా టైప్ లో డిఫైన్ చేస్తాను. బట్ టు డిఫైన్ దిస్ పర్టికులర్ డేటా టైప్, వాట్ ఈస్ మై సోర్స్ ఆఫ్ ట్రూత్? అంటే దేని మీద రిలై అవ్వచ్చు? విచ్ డాక్యుమెంట్ ఐ కెన్ రిలై?
Mapping.
Data mapping sheet is my reliable document for creating data types. Okay, so I'm going to my document repo, this particular thing. Okay, where is it? Mapping sheet. Okay, this is the mapping sheet I need to rely to create my data types. Okay, so what I need to do? So just try to tell me. So these are the fields that my OSVC system is expecting. Okay, my target system is expecting these fields. Okay, so try to give me some idea how to create these data types. I mean, so just try to give some idea. I mean, so I don't know how to create data type. You just need to tell me. So where I need to start it?
First we create a folder.
Okay, where we are going to create it?
In example, you can, in example,
Is it an
No.
example?
no,
In organization, first we create a folder and that name is data types and
Create a separate folder.
Okay, where?
Right side of the files, you can see the plus button.
Okay, so tell me one thing. So this particular data type, if I'm creating like this, so this is, we are trying to use it for post. All right. So ideally this particular thing is all about post. Okay. What is patch and put?
update.
So there are
Updation.
two methods, right? Patch and put. What is those?
Update.
Patch is for partial update and put is for complete update.
Okay, cool. So patch is partial update, put is complete update. Okay, just assume that if I'm trying to utilize a, if I'm trying to write down a put method, so can I use the same data type?
Yeah, we can use
Obviously,
it.
because see, my end system, whether it is updating or a complete update or partial update or, this particular creation, so it is expecting the same fields with same data types and same lengths, right? So if I'm going to create it, a reusable object, which is something like library, so I can reuse this particular component also, right? The data type component, right? So that's how I need to do it. Okay, so instead of creating a separate folder somewhere else, I can use my libraries folder. So these are the reusable types, right? So I can create here a new folder and what we call it as data types. Okay, so I'm creating data types, or some fellows will call types. It's barely a naming convention. Okay, so here, what kind of type I need to create it?
Data type.
Yeah, data type. But so okay, so clicking on this, okay. So here you guys are saying, hey, create a data type. That's okay. But what I need to specify?
Organization.
Organization data type. Is it fine?
There is post organization data.
Post organization data type.
Post organization data type. If I'm creating like this, can I use it for patch?
We can use it, but has a name when we are going for further, we'll get confused why we are using patch post method.
OSVC data types.
No, not
Can
really.
we create it in common folder and use it like whatever are common?
Okay. See, this is where you need to understand it. Okay. So let us say, what is a patch? Partial update, right? If I'm using some partial update, okay, if I'm making this particular thing, so what it will expect, everything it will expect if I'm marking it as required fields, right? So based upon your requirement, you need to understand whether this particular thing is a reusable type or a partial type. Okay, so for this particular scenario, what we are trying to do is a dedicated or isolated organization data type. Okay, so it is a post organization. Okay, but one thing that you need to understand is even for response also we need to create it, right? Okay, for post organization, not only my data type. Okay, And even for response also, I need to want to create some data type. Okay. Both whether it is request response, both the things we are going to create a data types. If I'm only putting post organization, I can't create a separate post organization type for my response also. Again, you need to have it something like what is whether it is a request data type or a response data type. Okay, so let me create a new folder and I'm here creating request basically. Okay, and I'm going to create one more folder, responses. Okay, so both requests and responses will have data types, and here I am going to create a new file that is nothing but my data type. Okay, and here, what is this? Post organization data type. Okay, why we are using data types? What is the use of
For
data types?
specifying, for
To validate the
telling
data.
the
Okay, so just think that
To
you are in an
restrict.
interview and I'm an interviewer, so I'm asking, hey, what is this particular data type and why we are using this particular data type?
To restrict only the particular data to allow.
The required field are true or not, and the min length, max length.
Length, maximum
tell
length. So what is this?
Instead of
To
doing
validate the data.
separate validation, we
That
can
keyword someone is saying, hey, someone is saying some validation,
in,
right?
Yeah,
instead
strict
of doing
validation of data.
separate validation.
So this particular guy, the data type guy is going to validate the incoming fields, the request fields, the validate that keyword needs to be there. Okay. So even you can explain those things, but it at least if you are, adding some, flavor to it, that's more or less like, I don't bother about what is your explanation. Okay. So at least that particular keyword validating of our internal request fields. That is what we are trying to do it in data type. So we define this particular data type here. Okay, field name should be this, maximum length is this, something like that. But who is going to validate it? Which component is going to validate it?
API kit router.
API kit router.
How it is going to validate it?
It will validate against our RAML file.
RAML. So where is that particular how API kit router will know, hey, I need to validate for this particular resource for this particular RAM. How it is known? I mean, so it is not intelligent enough, right? So something needs to feed it up. Okay. Just open up your API kit router behind the scene configuration.xml or try. I mean, so most of the time we will not open a API kit router configuration. We don't bother about it, but just try to open that thing. You get to know. So there is a binding, okay, behind the scene that it will try to relook for this particular YAML file. Okay. Your main YAML file will be binded to your API kit router. That's why it is going to validate. Okay. But at least I'm pretty much good for your answer. Your API kit router is going to validate it based upon your data type. It is going to validate your incoming requests and responses also. Okay. So if you define data types, it is going to validate. Okay. Cool. Right. So it is also one of the library. Okay. So whenever they're okay, they might ask you one question, guys. Okay. What are the standards that you have followed or best practices that you have followed in your RAML? So they might ask you this question. So what might be your answer? What you will try to do? So what are the best practice that we have followed till now in this particular RAML?
By specifying resource type and data types and everything, instead of writing entire thing in a single RAML file, in a main RAML file, we are using traits, libraries, data types, and example, and making our RAML file minimum.
This is perfect answer. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to use all the bare minimum concepts, that is something like data types. I'm using resource types. Okay. I'm trying to define my and one more thing, I missed it. Or did I missed it? Yeah, I missed it. Okay. So apart from this particular traits and resource types we have defined, okay, we externalize our examples. Okay. we use global types, we use data types. Okay, even fragments also we will try to use it once we are trying to create our experience API. Okay, that is the somewhat we will try to expose it. I mean, so we are trying to understand some use cases, so we are trying to extend this particular YAML a few more pieces. Okay, so these are the things that I'm going to specify. And one more best practice that we are trying to do it is maintaining the version log. Okay. So not only this particular thing, the version log, some people will call it as change log. Okay. So this is my version. Okay. But after this particular media types or descriptions, what I will try to do is I will try to add some comments guys. Okay. So let me add some comment. Okay. And we created yesterday 05/07/2020. Okay. And which Jira we are trying to add this particular resource?
001 or something.
Yeah. So where we are going to get it? So let me
In our
open my
Jira
Jira.
story.
Jira story. So let me open this. Yeah, this one. Okay. So this particular Jira, we are trying to use it for this particular thing. Okay. I need to mention this thing as well. Why? Because I can relate my Jira stuff from this particular design center. I can directly go to here and I need to know, I can know what I have done when I moved from one particular thing to when. Okay. When I deployed this particular thing, everything I can relate it by using my Jira ID. Okay. So I need to mention that my Jira ID over here. Okay. By specifying like this, and what I have done. Okay. A new jar I created. And apart from this, what I have done, I added this particular organization tag. Okay, so I need to add that particular thing. Added what? Post organizations. Okay, sorry. I'm adding a post organizations. Okay, so this is the change log. I'm trying to maintain it. Okay, so tomorrow you might add something like a get organizations, or you might add some other different resource. Then what you will try to do is you will try to add something like modified by something like, okay, so Julfia is adding something, okay, and she is adding something on this particular date, okay, for this some other Jira number, okay, let us say some other thing. Okay, so I'm just trying to address this thing. So something like added get incidents or something like that. So we are going to maintain this particular change log. Okay. So the moment I'm looking at this particular change log, I need to know what are the iterations that this particular YAML is going on. Okay. So this is my source of truth. So I can go to my Jira also, my project Jira. I can see how this particular development is going, where this particular Jira is deployed, whether it is gone to production or not. Okay. Even this particular Jira, I can relate it to my code also, source code also, I can relate it. Okay. In a moment of time, we will try to say it. So this is also you're trying to maintain it. This is also one of the best practice. Okay. So you're maintaining a change log, and in that particular change log, you are maintaining your Jira IDs also. So anyone who is coming to this particular project newly, so the moment they can see this particular thing, they can refer this particular Jira. Okay. Right. సో ఈ పర్టికులర్ జీరా లేదా లేకపోతే ఈ చేంజ్ లాగ్ అనేది కంపల్సరీ మెయింటైన్ చేస్తాడు. ఓకే, ప్రాజెక్ట్స్ వైజ్. సో మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ది స్టాండర్డ్స్ మెయింటైన్ చేయాలి అనుకున్నప్పుడు కంపల్సరీ ఇవి కూడా చూస్తాం. ఓకే, వీటితో పాటుగా ఇంకొకటి ఏం చూస్తామంటే documentation.md అన్న దాన్ని మనం ఇక్కడ యాడ్ చేస్తాం. ఓకే, సో డాక్యుమెంటేషన్ ఎండి తర్వాత ఫ్రాగ్మెంట్స్ తర్వాత చూద్దాం, ఎందుకంటే సో ఇట్ మైట్ టేక్ సమ్ టైమ్. ఓకే, బట్ అట్లీస్ట్ దిస్ పర్టికులర్ సెషన్ we will try to see how we are going to implement this particular thing. Okay, so where we have, so we are stuck at data types. Okay, we are trying to see this particular data type. So this particular data type is going to provide some validation to my incoming request, and this particular incoming request or this particular validation will be handled by your API kit router in your application. Okay. Now tell me, so I want to create some data type. Okay. So this is my source of truth. What is the data type and what is the length I need to maintain inside my data type. So enrich me. So what I need to specify here? What I need to specify?
Properties.
So
Whether it
directly.
is object, we should mention type, whether it is object or array.
Okay, so type is equal to something like object. Okay, what is mean by object?
Request we are receiving is in object form.
A group of
Okay,
key value
so
pairs.
Key
just
value
tell me.
pair.
Okay, tell me guys, whether this is an object or something else.
Array,
These are
array of objects.
array of
Array.
objects.
Array of objects. Okay, and what about this one?
Object.
Object.
Object. Okay, what about this one?
A
I'm
key.
talking
That
about
is
this one.
Key value.
Key value pair.
Key value.
Key value pair. Okay, and if I'm only looking at this particular thing, I mean, so this is something like what object will have? Object will have
Key
properties.
value. Key value.
No.
Pro.
Okay. So object will have properties and that particular property will have key and value. Okay. Key value pair it will have. Okay. So now object is something like it is telling about something, some resource it is trying to tell it. Okay. So in this particular scenario, it is telling about some organization. Okay. So this kind of organization will have some properties and we are going to define it. Hey, this property needs to have this particular, characteristics or this kind of, features it needs to have it. Something like that we need to define. Okay, sorry, my bad. What I need to specify it here. Okay, type is equal to object. I defined it. What I need to specify.
Properties.
Example.
Properties.
Properties I need to specify it. Okay, what is the property that I need to specify it first?
Name.
Okay,
Description.
so let me put it this way. Okay, so what I need to specify? My name. I need to write it. Okay, this particular data sense is not going to give you, hey, this particular thing. So you need to write it. Then whether this
Type
particular thing is
required.
Then we write
required or not.
Required. Yes.
required.
Yes.
Okay, so this particular column is telling me whether this particular thing is required by my external system or not. Okay, so I need to specify that thing as well. Okay, so let me put it this way. So it is a required field. So what is the property that defines this thing?
Required. True.
Okay, so true. Okay, what else I need to define
Type.
it?
Type is string.
Type. Okay, so what is this
String.
particular type? Name
String.
is something like string. Okay, what else?
Maximum length.
Maximum length. This is the one, right? What is the maximum length it is trying to expect is 2000. Okay, so at least these kind of properties I need to define it something like this. Okay, then only I can understand, hey, this particular object is requiring this particular name. Okay, must and should my experience API needs to pass this thing. Okay, if I'm strictly specifying this, what is my experience API guy will try to do? Definitely he will try to make sure that my source system also needs to send this particular field. Or if source system is not sending this particular field, he needs to get it somewhere and definitely he needs to pass it to system API. Okay, so this is the gateway that you're providing, okay, to your experience API. Hey, experience API, any request that you're passing it, to pass it through my API kit router, these are the bare minimum stuff that you need to pass it. Okay, so we are going to define each and individual fields. Okay, do I need to write it down everything? SFDC ID. Okay, so I need to write it something like this, but I'm bad at writing all these particular things. What I need to do is I can copy it somewhere and I can reuse the same thing from this, something like this, right? Okay, so this particular thing name. So what is this thing? SFDC ID. Okay, so SFDC ID. Is it required? It is required, but what is the type of this thing?
Number.
Number.
Number. Okay. And what about this thing? Status. Status also string and all these things I need to specify it. Okay. So let me try to see it. Do we have that particular thing already defined?
There is a new field.
Where?
Boolean.
Mapping
Okay,
rule or
so
something.
sorry.
Mapping rules or something. The new field. How we add it to the data type.
Okay, so let me try to see this. You're talking about this thing, right?
Yes, yes.
So these kind of mapping rules where we are going to deal with it. Transformation logic, right? Nothing but where we are going to do the transformation logic. Which layer?
Transform message.
Yeah, transform message, we will ideally do it. But where we are going, experience layer, we are going to deal with this particular mapping rules. Okay. So any transformation that we are going to capture it, that we are going to deal in your process layer or your experience layer. Okay. If it is a business, okay, activity, that we are going to use process layer. But in this case, what we have? Only experience layer we have. Experience layer and system layer. Okay. These kind of mapping rules we are going to take care in our experience layer. But system API level, what we are trying to do, we are trying to interact with our external system. Okay. So let me use this particular thing. Before that, so let me use something else. So this is my existing system API. Okay. So let me try to use this thing. Can I see these things that way?
Yeah, yes, it can open, I think.
Okay. So this is the one. Okay. And if I don't want this particular, code, okay. So is there any option in our Anypoint Studio? Do you guys know?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
Okay, so I don't want the source code when you are creating this kind of jars. Do you have any option while exporting it? Just try to see that. You will get to know. Okay, so this is my data type, guys. Okay, so active contracts. So what is the type of that thing? A Boolean type. Okay, Boolean in the sense like what it is
True
trying
or
to expect,
false.
true or
True or
false.
false.
Okay, so we specified the Boolean type, and whether this is required or not, we are trying to specify. Okay, it doesn't mean that it will always expecting true value, but it is whether this particular field should be there or not. This is we are defining required field. Okay, so it doesn't have excellence, but that's okay. At least like we need to understand how we are going to define it. So this particular data type I have defined it for host organizations. Okay, I want to use this particular thing. Okay, so how to use this thing inside my where we are going to use it? Do we need to use it here?
Request.
Okay, so నేను ఒక డేటా టైప్ క్రియేట్ చేశానండి. దాన్ని నేను ఎక్కడ యూజ్ చేయాలి? ఈ పోస్ట్ డేటా టైప్స్ లో పోస్ట్ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ డాట్ రైట్?
As it is used by multiple methods, I can define it globally under types.
Okay. So here traits and resource type I have created it, right? So there is something like types also. What is this particular types? Is nothing but you're defining your data types. Okay. What kind of data type we created it? Post organization. Request. Okay, so this is the type that I'm going to define it. So where it is exactly? So it is
Hi,
under
sir.
include and libraries, data types, request,
Request.
post organization dot random. Okay. So I defined a global type. Okay. Types, resource types, I created it. And this particular data type, where I'm going to use it, I created a global type. Now where I need to inject it.
Under the post method.
Under post
Resource
method.
type.
Okay, post method, where we defined post method.
In the resource
Under
type.
organization resource.
Okay, so I need to go to my resource types. Here, I need to specify my data type, where I need to specify.
Example,
Under
Before
application
example,
JSON.
application just
Application JSON. Now, what else?
can give type.
Okay, so I need to specify my type, and what is the type that we're defining? Whatever we are creating from globally. Okay, and is there any other option that I can use it?
interest.
Any other way? What is uses?
Libraries.
Traits.
To call any
We
library.
can create library and
Okay, fine. Yes. Okay. So just try to say it. Is there any other way that we can use this particular data type? Okay.
Yeah, you can directly
I mean, so I can directly refer this particular type, something like this. Include. Can I write it right away?
exclamation mark include.
Include. Okay. Now.
Path of the data types.
Okay. So it is not giving me any option. Dot 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 dot.
No. You have to select that data types post organization. Copy. Just click on that and copy the link and paste there.
Okay. So this one also I can directly define it. Okay. This is also fine. But is there any other way?
Then what will be the use of defining it over globally?
Yeah, globally, so it doesn't have any make sense. That is fine. But I can refer directly, or I can use it as a global one, and I can directly use it something like this. Okay. And there might be some other way also. Okay. Just try to explore.
we can add into the traits.
Sorry.
We can add into that library and
Whoever is talking.
no.
Fine,
I'm
that's
telling
okay.
we can.
Okay, so who is talking?
I'm telling we can use in that library. We can include this thing into the library and we can reuse, right?
Okay. Sorry, Ashok, your voice is too low. I could not hear you.
Okay.
But that's okay. So let us go forward. Okay. So this is how I defined it. So I want to, let us say, what will happen? Okay. So I'm going to my project. Okay. What is this thing? Tell me about this thing. What it is trying to see it?
Warnings.
Log. Project errors.
So
Warnings are
why it is referring post organizations dot JSON is not referred?
Libraries.
Okay, so next on empty. Okay, so what about this one? Libraries resource type organization dot raml is not found. Is it not really found? Why? Organization dot raml, right? So it should be there. It is there.
And dot.
No, not required. So we are referring on the same directory path, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so libraries
Can't we
and then,
copy the path and directly paste it here?
okay, so how to copy my path?
You'll be seeing 3 dots in the right side. Yeah.
Okay, then,
Oh, okay. There's no option here. Yeah.
XAML
Yeah.
file and
Yeah.
click
Yeah.
on
Copy
path.
path.
Copy path.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so just a moment. So what it is happening? Resource type, right? So
Yeah.
let me copy path. Still, what is happening? What is this particular error, guys?
Maybe the
Maybe in data types,
yeah
is there any
spelling
There is another
spelling issue?
slash before
spelling
library.
mistake or anything as such.
Okay, so I'm opening postorganization.raml. Okay, so what it is having?
If
ACCT status. Where is this? This one. Okay. ACCT status is required field. But this is a data type, right? Why it is doing this particular validation right now? So my API kit router needs to validate it, right? So right now I don't have any API kit router. Who is going to validate it? Why I'm getting this particular error? Do you
We
see
are
anything?
given body to the we have already given the body. Maybe there is some spelling mistakes in between two.
Maybe
Okay.
examples, maybe example is both example and data type are validating, and maybe in example something went wrong. That's the reason.
Yeah.
it
So
has
exactly. Okay. So this particular thing will have only status. Okay. And it is validated by whom?
The data types we given.
So whatever the data type that we have, so it is validating by my this thing. Okay. So here what I need to have, my account status, I need to have it. Okay. The moment I'm going to have ACCT status, sorry, ACCT status. The moment I have this thing, my error is gone. So whatever the example that you're defining here, okay, so it is directly validating by your data type. Okay, whatever the data type that you're pasting here, it is directly validating your example also. But who is validating it? Your API kit router is not there, right? So who is actually validating? Your compiler of your any point design center is actually validating this. Okay, so it is comparing, hey, this guy defined some example and this guy defined some data type, whether these things are matching or not, it is going to, validating it and it is giving some errors. Okay, you need to always check your this particular project errors before publishing it to Exchange. Okay, so even if you have some errors, it will directly tell you, hey, try to resolve these errors, but you need to understand. So you need to specify your data types and whatever the example that you are giving it, so it needs to compliance with your data type also. Okay, so this is the type that we are giving. And what about this thing? Even for responses also, we want to specify some data type, right? So let us try to see what is the response that we have given. Only message we have given, right? So can you tell me what is
Can
the,
I interrupt? Sorry for
sorry, yeah,
interruption.
yeah,
Like as earlier we discussed for post method, maybe for post method we are defining every fields. If in get method also we'll be having same structure, like we'll be getting the
no,
whole data.
no.
Maybe in some general, in some cases, like
Mhm.
if we are getting some data, if we are posting in DB and we are fetching all the records from DB, then
Mhm.
in that case we'll be having same structure, right?
Yeah,
Like a
it will
name,
have,
SFDC, account.
yeah,
For
yeah.
okay, now when we are using like get method or some other method,
Mhm.
maybe for this method we are using same structure is similar, but only the fields which are mandatory or not mandatory differs. Then in that case, how can we define a common structure for them?
Okay, so let us say my database will have something like name is required. Okay, in while you're creating your database, what you will try to do in the name field, whenever you're creating your table structure, you will mark it as not null or some constraint, right? Okay, the same constraint, okay, will be applied across all your rows, whether you're getting it or you're posting it, the constraint will same, it will not change. Okay, which means that before posting some data, if we are having some constraint saying that, hey, this particular field is required, even in get scenario also, you will definitely get that particular field value. Okay.
Okay. Then another question for this post, I am taking all the fields, but when I am doing a patch, only specific fields I am changing, right? Then in that case, how like all the parameters I am not able, that are not mandatory. In how that we are using the same structure for patch method also.
You can't change it. You can't use it. Okay, so that's why you need to go for an isolated request for your patch method. Okay. So based on your scenario, whether you are, if it is a put method, you will obviously update each and every field, right? So in that case, you can use this particular common structure, but in your patch, you are trying to update only very specific, records. Then you need to go for an isolated data type. Okay. Some people might not understand this particular question, guys. Okay. But for time's sake, why we are defining data types? For validating our fields. Okay. And if the same structure we are using for both the get method, post method, or put method, so you can create a common structure. Okay. And if it is differing for any other method, you need to create one more data type. Okay, for that particular specific request type or method type. Okay. Now, so this is my response. So tell me, what is the response data type I need to create it now?
Mapping sheet they provide is the response.
Okay, mapping sheet, I need to define it, but we already defined some response. Okay, so I can rely on my example also. So tell me something, post organizations. Okay, post organizations, I'm creating a data type, and this is under my responses, right? So now, what kind of type is this? Is it object or array? Object. And what are the properties that we have here?
Status.
No.
Only message.
No.
I think we
are
already
going
have this
to
particular
mapping sheet.
Okay. So coming to my mapping sheet, okay. What is this? Yeah, this is the one, right? Yeah, coming to my mapping sheet, what is my responses? My actual system, my OSPC system is giving these responses. Organization name, SFDC ID, message, something like that. Okay. But my external system, okay, my SFDC system is only expecting only message, whether it is created or not. Okay. So if I'm trying to pass all this information back to my experience API, okay, is it really required to pass all this information back to my experience API?
No.
Not required, right? So what I need to do, I need to only pass my message. That's fine for them, right? So that's why what I have defined, only message I'm trying to pass it. Okay. Let us say if if some other experience API is also calling the same system, okay, and if they require these fields, then only we will try to add these fields. Okay. This is why you are, restricting your response in your system API. Okay. So unnecessarily, you don't require to pass every information back to experience APIs. You can filter out some of the information. Okay. So right now, what they are expecting, only message they are expecting. My SFTC system is only expecting message. Okay. Which means that the same message, if I'm giving it to experience API, that is fair enough in this particular case. Okay. So that's why what I have defined my response, only message I have defined it. Okay. So let me go back here. What is the response that we have defined in our thing? Only a message node we have defined. So for that, what we are trying to do, we are creating a data type. Okay. So whether it is required or not, so I need to define it. Okay. So we are defining it as required. Okay. And what about this thing? Post organizations dot response. Okay. So this we created it. Now going to my original this thing, my main YAML file. Okay. So here I need to define one more type. What is the type for this thing? Post organizations
Response.
response. Okay. So this is post organization response hash include. Okay. And I need to specify my libraries, data types, responses, and this is something like post organization response. Okay. This particular type also where I need to create it, where I need to define it. Inside my resource type here, I'm trying to define my type. Okay. So I defined my data types for both request and response. I defined my traits. I defined my resource type. Everything I had defined it. Yes. Okay. Now, so this is the bare minimum structure I can think through at this moment of time. So I can enrich some more things as per my project standards, but we will try to see it one by one. Okay. Not everything in one particular day or 2 days. Okay. We will try to enrich piece by piece. Okay. Now, this is my definition of my organization structure. Now, what I need to do? Do I need to keep it like this or do I need to do some process?
Reduce that code.
Okay, so we already reduced the code. Can I reduce further more?
Yeah, HTTPS you can also normal brackets protocols.
Okay, so that one thing I can
and
do it.
application JSON also you can remove. We declare globally, right? Media type application JSON.
Okay. But to be precise, this is somewhat fine. Okay. Now, what is the next process that you will try to do? You define some design center asset. So what you will try to do?
Next, we need to
Publish to exchange.
Okay, so
Mark the
what is this?
service first.
We can check with Postman once it is giving the response correctly or not.
Okay, so how to check my Postman?
By copying the mocking URL and we can paste it there and giving body, then we can.
Okay, so I
get the
copied
response.
my mocking URL. Okay, so I'm opening Postman. Okay, I'm clicking on this. Now enrich me. So I'm pasting that. Okay.
Post method.
Okay, post method. Fine. Then
Should
Hey,
add
that's
We
fine.
can check there itself in the design center.
design center, we can actually check it. Okay,
Yeah.
that is also fine. Here.
Once we publish
Yeah. We can click on the end method that we have given, which is post.
Where we have it? Here.
Prayer some.
Yeah.
Okay,
Try it.
so the moment I'm clicking on try, what is this? A body, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now click on send.
Could not resolve host. Okay, client ID.
we need to send
Client
client
secret.
Okay, fine. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it fine? 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah. Anything
Yeah.
is fine.
Okay, so let me send it again. Could not resolve host.
Can client ID, client secret.
This one.
After making some changes, we have to mock it again.
What you are selecting? So I'm choosing a mocking service. So what it is trying to do, it is going to specify my complete service URL. So this is my complete mocking service URL. Okay. And for that particular service, I'm hitting my client ID, client secret, and all I'm giving. So we are getting a response back. Organizations created. Okay. So it is organization only one thing. So it is a blender, but that's okay. Organization is created. So if you want to check it here, so you need to select a mocking service and you can hit this particular field. Okay. Now, so the same URL, will it work from my Postman also?
No.
This will not work.
Yeah, it's work.
It will work.
You can pass client ID, client
Okay,
secret,
so I want to pass some JSON. So how to pass it?
raw application.
Okay,
JSON.
raw and JSON.
JSON.
Okay. So here, what
Yeah.
I need to pass it, where I can get
Inside the
it.
request, what you
Examples
mentioned that.
request. I can copy this particular sample example. Okay. I can paste it here and I'm clicking on send. Okay. So what we are getting? A bad request, which means that what we need to send it.
We need to send client ID,
ID,
client secret.
client ID,
Client ID,
client
client secret.
secret.
We need to send it. Okay. So client underscore ID 1234. Okay. Client underscore secret 1234. I'm trying to send it.
Duplicate already it is created then. With the same values we created there now.
No, actually, whatever the thing that we are sending, is it really creating in your organization?
No.
So it is just a mocking URL, right? Okay, fine. So just try to see this thing. Okay. So I'm just, trying to take a break and I will regroup at 3:40. Okay. But if you have some time, so just try to check it why this particular thing is not working. Okay. So can I ping you on the chat so that you guys can actually see why it is not working? Okay. This is the mocking URL. Or is there some other mocking URL other than this one? I'm going to my
Advanced
design
REST
center.
client.
I think in settings over the top, beside publish,
Okay.
not to. Can you just give me 2 minutes? I will tell you. I did it actually. I received this error. I did some modification over here. Then I got, okay, this you need to make it public. I think this we need to enable. This local.
This one, local settings. This one. Okay. This one.
No, not this one. Can you go?
I only have mocking service. Nothing else.
Under service settings, make public, and we have to highlight that set expiration date of publicly. Then we have to copy the link.
Okay, but where we have it, you guys are telling something, but I'm not able to see it here.
In designer,
root file. In root
yeah,
file.
in root file. Yeah.
Okay. Now,
there. Now we click that one and set. Select. Now select this one. Make it.
This one, I need to make it.
Yeah. Here we have a public link. No, this link we have to copy in Postman.
Okay. So this particular link, I'm copying it. Okay. So where I need to post it. So before this thing, this one, I pasted it. Okay. Let me send it. Resource not found. I'm getting it.
Resource name.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay. So whatever you are trying to test it here, how we are actually tested it. So I'm clicking on this thing. Okay. So here we are getting something right. Okay. So this particular mocking service, if we are trying to use it directly over there, so it is not working. But where we are trying to get this particular mocking service, I'm selecting my main YAML file and I'm going here. So I'm making it as public and I'm copying this thing. So this will give you the base URL. Till this, we got some URL from mocking service. After that, you need to add your resource URL. Then only this particular thing is going to work. Okay. So this is whatever the mocking URL it is trying to give you. So it is something like your host kind of thing. Till base URL, it is trying to give it. So after that, you need to specify your resource path. Okay. So this is the resource that we're interacting. So that particular resource you need to specify. Then only it is going to work. Okay. And whatever the headers that we are going to pass it, you please make sure that you pass it as well. So your mocking service will work it. Okay. So this particular mocking URL, whom I need to pass it? I'm a
The
system API developer, right?
Experience API was the thing.
Okay. Yeah. So whoever is developing experience API, I need to pass it to them so that they are going to create their experience layer also. Okay. So based upon this particular response, what they are going to define, they are going to define their response as well. Okay. And whatever the request, okay, they are trying to say it, hey, this particular guy is expecting data types. Okay. They are expecting something like this particular fields. Okay. All this particular transformation, who is going to do it? The experience APIs guys is going to do it. Okay. So this particular mocking URL, we need to pass it to experience APIs so that they are going to implement their changes based upon this particular. Okay. So I'm just stopping the session for a moment of time. Okay. So we'll regroup at, 10 minutes. Will it be fine?
Okay.
All right. Okay. Just a minute. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Now, we created this particular system API, right? So after this particular system API, okay, what we are going to do, we are testing this particular thing using mock service, okay? And after this, what we are trying to do it. Okay, so we created everything and so it is more or less structured.
Published to exchange.
We have to
publish to exchange. Why we need to publish to exchange? What is the purpose of exchange?
Another developers or everything can see and give the review.
Okay, so they can use the mocking service also, right? So what are the other advantages or so let us try to say it. Okay, so where we are going to publish this? I'm clicking on this.
You want.
Okay,
publish.
so
There is a
Publish.
yeah, this particular thing. So we are going to say it. Okay, so publish to exchange. Okay, so here tell me what is the other things that I need to take care of it.
Can
What is this particular thing?
Set version.
Version.
XYZ format, you can write 1.0.
Okay, so I need to publish a asset version. Okay, so this is my first version. What I will try to do, I will try to specify 1.0.0 is my first version. Okay, and this is something like you can't change it first time. So it is a V1 version that we are trying to do it. Okay, so let me click on publish to exchange. Okay, and we will try to see what is that particular thing. And even exchange.json, the moment we are publishing it, some star will happen to exchange.json and again it is saved. Okay, so I'll try to see what happened to my exchange.json. Okay, so we're trying to publish it. So this is where you need to understand, guys. So each and every level, there are minute things, even those minute things we need to understand it, what is going on. Okay, so let me click on view in exchange. Okay, so it is opening here. Now, in this particular thing, okay, so this is the latest way of representation. Okay, and I click on back to previous UI also, but most of the time we are interacting with the previous user interface. We are familiar with that. Okay, or else I can use this thing. Okay, but I'm clicking on back to previous UI. Okay, so for simplicity's sake, what is this particular thing? Mocking service. So whatever we created inside my design center, which means that I enabled mocking service. So that is, pointing to my 1.0.0 version. Okay. So the moment we are publishing it, we got some exchange. An asset is created inside my exchange. Okay. That is dedicated to this particular level. Okay, so what is this particular thing? So this is my business group, and in this particular business group, whatever we have published it is available here. Okay, the moment I'm clicking on this, okay, so I got something. So see this particular thing. So this is something like a URL for your exchange. Okay, so this is the URL for your exchange. So this particular thing will be there in your exchange.json. Okay, let me click on this. Okay. So what is this? The asset ID. Okay, these asset IDs and these other stuff. Okay, what is the version that is having? What is the current version that we are deploying? So everything will be updated back to your exchange.json. So earlier, these information we don't have it. The moment we are publishing it, we having this particular information. Okay. So once you are publishing it, whatever the name that you have, the similar name you will try to create here. Okay. So don't try to put it something like, system API dot some YYY or some names, don't put it. Put a proper name, and that particular proper name that will be binded to your URL also. Okay, so this is the URL that it is created by Exchange. Now, here, what we are going to write it down. Okay, so we have something like contact name, contact email, and description, we can add it. Okay, and why we need to use this particular thing. And what about these things? Anyone can tell me what is this thing? Can we use this thing?
We can do mocking.
Yeah, we can for marking purpose.
Okay, so whatever the marking that we have there, a similar kind of specification we are getting it here. Okay, so I can use this particular thing by clicking on or getting the response. So let me click on this. We got the response back. Okay, so but client ID, client secret, we haven't provided, right? Okay, so this particular thing is nothing but a mocking service. Okay, we are trying to use it in Exchange also. Okay, and what else? Here, what we are trying to create it. Can we create some client ID, client secrets also here? Do you guys know what we can achieve in Exchange?
Yeah, we need
Yeah, we
to.
can apply policies.
Okay, policies, where we are going to apply it.
We can
Run
Deployment level.
Runtime
runtime
manager.
API manager.
Okay, so someone will
API
saying
manager.
Exchange, someone will saying API manager, runtime manager. What is the correct answer? Where we are going to apply policies?
API
API
manager.
manager.
API manager, we are going to apply policies. Okay, but what is the use of this particular Exchange?
We can import
Can
the
give
same.
access to the client application by creating the
Okay,
client
so
ID.
one of the major thing that we are going to use Exchange is creating a client applications. Okay, whenever we are discussing about security, we will try to see it. But at least what we can say is, so we can get a summary of our API, what is there, and a mocking service or a temporary service is going to work it. Okay, inside this particular Exchange. Okay, and what we are going to enrich here is this particular descriptions and these particular things we are going to add it here. Okay, so which APIs, which experience APIs it is trying to interact. Okay, what is the business process that we are trying to do it here? So we are trying to add it here. Okay, so this is something like a guide to our API, our system API. Okay, and this particular system API, who is going to use it? Our experience API people are going to use it, right? So for them, this is the Bible for them. Okay, which means that it will give all the related information. What are the endpoints that we have? Okay, what is the methods it is exposing it? Okay, and there is some other thing, some other documentation also we will try to add it. Okay, so we will try to eventually see it. But at least what we are trying to do, we're trying to publish it back to Exchange. Okay, from this particular Exchange, what we are going to do, we are going to create a API manager policy. And in this particular Exchange, we can create client applications and we can enrich some documentation also in this particular Exchange. Okay. Now coming to our implementation. So we design this thing, but now what is the other phase in my API development? Okay. There will be three phases. Okay. Generally, 3 to 4 phases, I can say, but just assume that for deployment, till deployment, we have 3 phases. One is my design phase. Okay. The other phase is the development phase. Okay. I need to develop this particular API. The third one is deployment phase. Okay. So for deployment phase, which component that we are going to use it inside my AnyPoint platform? So which component we are going to use it?
API
Runtime
manager.
manager.
API
Runtime
or
manager.
Runtime manager.
runtime
Okay,
manager.
so stick to your basic, guys. Okay, so why we are going to use runtime manager? This is where we are going to deploy our applications. Okay, so there is one more thing, something like managing your API or like, applying policies, everything we are trying to do it in API manager. So in realistic scenario or in your real-time scenario, you are mostly concerned with your design center and then exchange and then API manager and runtime manager. So all these four, don't confuse yourself. Okay, so these things will have very specific purpose. Okay, your runtime manager is going to deploy your application in your Cloud Hub, and your API manager is going to apply your policies. Your exchange is nothing but it is a description of your API where we can create, your client applications. Okay, and the fourth one is your design center. First, we start with design center, exchange, and then your runtime manager and your API manager. So this is the linkage that we are going to do it. Okay. Now, so to implement this particular, API, what I need to do? Or what is the steps that I need to do? I designed this thing. So the next phase is development stage. Okay. So for development, what is the process I can use it, or how I need to develop this particular API?
We can
Import
create a new project in AnyPoint Studio, and there we can import the
import RAML.
Okay, so AnyPoint Studio, I can use it. You are saying that import the RAML. Okay.
Yeah.
But tell me something. There is something like source versioning. So do you guys know what is source versioning? Okay, I can import my AnyPoint Studio, but that's okay. But before starting my AnyPoint Studio, so I need to create something. I need to have some repositories, branches, source versioning, something you know about it?
Bitbucket.
Bitbucket, Git. What is that?
We have to
Yeah,
keep
in Git
several
will
repositories.
We'll store our code.
Okay, so we store our code. Why we need to store our code? Okay. What is the purpose of storing your code?
By storing our code in GitHub, we can track the changes, or we can trace our code on daily basis, or whenever it gets modified.
Okay. So whenever it is get modified, or we are trying to maintain the code, but tell me, so let us say you are the only developer in your project. Do you need source versioning tool?
Yeah, of course, because if suddenly I left the company, okay, so the same code will be given when some other new join will come to the organization. Then the architecture or team lead may share the same code and go further process. So he can extract the code from GitHub like that.
Okay. Okay. So other guys can actually relate this particular answer, whatever Himaza is saying.
Yeah, for further updations, if we have received any updations on the existing code, she can just go to the GitHub and see the latest version code. She can take it and she can implement her changes.
Okay.
Multiple people can work on the same code if we publish it.
So whatever you guys are saying, so I'm just trying to recollect it. Okay. So what you are saying is Git or Bitbucket is to manage our source code. Okay. This is one point that you guys are telling. Okay. The other point that you're telling me is, hey, not only only even if we have only one developer, so next time some other developer is coming in, so we can share the code to them. Okay. And you're saying that Git and Bitbucket. So what is the difference between Bitbucket and Git?
Both are
one and the same.
Yeah.
It is one and the same. Okay. can we clone something using Bitbucket inside my local computer?
By GitHub, we can clone our local system.
Okay, GitHub, you're cloning
Yeah.
it. But then what is the purpose of Bitbucket then?
Bitbucket, I don't have idea.
Okay.
But Kishore said
Uh,
only GitHub. Kishore said yes.
okay.
Only GitHub.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I know the meaning of cloning?
Okay, so cloning is nothing but like, copying your source code from your remote repository to your local system. Okay, but we will try to say it, but one by one. But I want to understand. So, what is your understanding on your Bitbucket and your Git? Okay, see, your source versioning tool is to maintain your source code, guys. Okay, so it is not only for MuleSoft. Okay, whether you are dealing with your Java, whether you are dealing with your .NET or any other project or whatever the programming language that you're working. So we are going to use a source versioning tool inside our project. Okay. So it is not only like, we are trying to maintain our code, but whenever we want to share it to some other new members, we are going to use the same source version. Okay. So if multiple teams are working on same code, okay. So just now before that, we talk about something. Okay. If we are creating some experience API, some other projects also going to add some other resources in that particular project. Okay. You're not only working in your project, the same experience API, we are using multiple projects. Okay. So every time if some external system wants to, create one more API, they are trying to create or they are trying to connect with only one particular experience API. Whatever the experience API, they have it, they will always try to connect with that particular thing for different resources, which means that I need to maintain my code, whatever the project that I created. Okay, so in this particular scenario, we are creating system API. We are trying to develop system API. Okay, for that particular system API, if I want to maintain my code, whatever the code or whatever the project that I am creating inside my Mule's Anypoint Studio, I want to maintain it inside my repository. Okay, so that is something like source code repository that I need to maintain. Okay, so if I'm referring a Bitbucket, okay, it is something like an online repository, guys. Okay, so your Azure DevOps, your Bitbucket, or all these things are online repositories. Whenever I'm referring Git, okay, it is nothing but a client software where it is interacting with your local system. Okay, so Bitbucket is something like an online repository. Okay, and whenever I'm referring something like your Git or something, so I'm referring to your local application which is interacting with your local repository. Okay, so let me put it this way, just a moment. Okay, we have two things. I have my local computer, in the sense whatever your client system or whatever. Okay, so this is my local computer, which means that in this particular local computer, what I have my Anypoint Studio. Okay, I have my Anypoint Studio. So in this Anypoint Studio, I'm going to create one specific project. Okay, system API or experience API, I'm trying to create it. Okay, where it is going to store it? It is going to store it inside my local computer hard disk. Okay, so this thing you can understand it, right? So whatever we are creating inside my local computer, it will try to store it inside my local hard disk. Okay, so my Git is handling this particular local hard disk related source code. Okay, so Git, okay, or Git for Windows or some tools. Okay, this particular guy is actually interacting with my local source code. Okay, and there is some other thing, so that is what we call it as Bitbucket. Okay, or your GitHub Bitbucket. Okay, or your GitHub, or okay, your Azure dev repositories. Okay, so these are nothing but your online repositories, which means that it will have a dedicated space where it can, your source code, what you are trying to do, you are trying to push it back to this particular online repository. Okay, so just assume that.
Sorry to interrupt you. Even Maven also the same.
No,
Maven.
Maven is different. Okay.
Different. Okay.
Maven will try to say it, but don't compare this particular thing to Maven. Okay, so it will have a different purpose, and it will have online repository and your local repository also. You can relate to that level, but not like source versioning or maintaining too. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Maven is something like dependency management.
Okay.
Okay. So I have my local computer and I have my online repository. Online repository, what we are telling is Bitbucket and this thing. Okay, just take some scenario. Okay, I have my some of the something like a Excel file where I'm maintaining all my house expenditure or something. Okay, so it is resided in my computer. Okay, so when can I access this particular file? Only if I'm interacting with my computer. Okay, if I'm logging to my computer, then only I can access this particular local file. Okay, if I'm putting this particular file into Google Drive, then I can access it through mobile phone or some other laptop or anywhere I can access it, right? Because where we are actually storing it, we are storing it in online sharing where multiple devices can access that particular thing. In similar way, even in our source versioning tool, we are dealing with our local files and we are dealing with our remote repository files. Okay, so we will try to, whatever the projects that we are trying to create it locally, those files will directly go to your local file storage, okay, which is maintained by your local Git, and we are trying to push it back to our online repository. Okay, so that is nothing but your Bitbucket or GitHub, we are trying to push it. Okay, in general, most of the projects will try to adopt your Bitbucket. Okay, so this is online repository where they are trying to store your source version. Okay, so at least you guys need to know how to use this particular Git or Bitbucket. Okay, but eventually we will try to say. But is there any confusion between your online repository and your local repository?
Yeah, by using Git, can we push and pull the code from Bitbucket?
Yeah, obviously. So by using Git only, we will try to push it back to online repositories, or we will try to get it from the online repository. Git is a tool that it is managing your source code. Okay. Bitbucket is nothing but a online repository where we have some space. Okay. Where we are trying to push it. That's it. Simple enough.
Are there any tools like Git available in?
Yeah, there will be other tools also. Okay, so there are something like Tortoise Git. Okay, so Git for Windows and something like Source Tree. There are multiple tools, guys. Okay, but internally these tools are internally using Git. Okay, so let me tell you something. Do you guys know SQL?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
SQL database.
SQL. Okay, so
Yeah.
not SQL. SQL is a programming language, right?
Yeah.
Do you know Microsoft SQL Server? Okay, Microsoft SQL Server is a database which is using SQL. Okay.
Yeah.
And we have Oracle. Oracle will also use SQL. Okay.
Yeah.
MySQL is also a database. It is also using SQL. Right.
Okay.
In similar fashion, Git is something like a common kind of, maintaining your source code. By using Git, they are creating multiple flavors of it. Okay. Whether you are using source tree or Git for Windows or Tortoise Git, different tools, they will use it. But internally, what they need is this particular Git. They are trying to interact with this particular Git. Okay. And this Git is going to interact with your files. Okay, so Git is something like a base platform, and these are the tools that they're internally using it. But whatever we are trying to learn it here is a core Git we are trying to use it. Okay, so let us try to download that thing. Okay, so which tool that you are guys are more familiar with? Which Git?
GitHub.
Okay,
GitHub only.
Okay, so Git for Windows, GitHub, this one, right?
Yes.
Okay. So even this is also fine. Okay. So even here, if I'm clicking on this thing, I'm trying to install this thing. Okay. So you guys know what is a git push, git pull, and git clone commands, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. See, even if I'm using Git for Windows or your GitHub, everything is fine, guys. Okay. So it is one and the same. Okay.
Same commands, right?
Same commands, nothing will change. Okay. Your SQL insert command will not change across your databases. Okay. So there will be some semantical or minute changes, but it is one and the same. Even here also, we are using the same commands. Even here, we don't have a separate syntax also. Okay. We will try to use it the same thing. Okay. But for this, what we are trying to use is Git for Windows. We are trying to download it. Okay. And so even you can use the GitHub also. Okay. Now, so this is this particular Git, whatever we are trying to use it, it is only for my local system. Okay. What I need some remote repository, right?
Git
So
bash.
I want to push it back to some location where I need to share it to some other team members. Okay. For that particular purpose, what we are using, we are saying that, hey, we will try to use Bitbucket or GitHub, right? So let us try to use Bitbucket so that at least one particular tool you might understand. Okay. So let me open my Bitbucket. Okay. So I'm opening my Bitbucket. Okay. So let me open like this. So I'm opening bitbucket.org. Okay. So here, what I can do, I can go to, okay. So let us try to create some workspace. Okay. So I'm clicking on my profile. Okay. So this is nothing but whatever you created for your Jira, you can create your Bitbucket also. Guys. Okay. So Bitbucket and your Jira is created by Atlassian organization. Okay. Whatever the login that you have, you guys are created for Jira, you can use the same ID to access your Bitbucket also. Okay. So I'm going to my workspaces. Do you guys know what is a workspace?
Locally, this
Okay, so in your Anypoint Studio, we are trying to create a workspace. What does that mean?
the project is locally stored.
Okay, so it is something like multiple projects we are capturing inside some workspace. Okay, so even Git also, what we are trying to do is we are trying to create multiple projects under one particular workspace. Okay, so let me create some workspace. Only this is used for dedicatedly to our project. Okay, so I'm clicking on create workspace. Okay, I am creating my workspace name Git July 2020. Okay, Cygnus July 2022. Okay, so this is my workspace. Okay, so you don't require to worry about this thing, guys. Okay, so who is going to deal with this particular thing whenever you are into process?
Platform.
Platform team is going to create it. Okay, you don't require to worry about all this particular stuff, but at least for our purpose, we need to see, hey, what is a workspace, what is a Bitbucket, what is a Git. At least we need to understand that. Okay, creation of your repositories and everything, so your platform team is going to take care of it, but at least my particular sake, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a workspace here. Okay, so in this particular workspace, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a repository. Okay. So for what purpose I'm trying to create a repository? For my system API to implement my system API. Okay. So I will try to implement it inside my Anypoint Studio, but I want to store this particular code into some repository, right? So for that particular purpose, what we are trying to do, we are trying to create this particular repository. I'm clicking on create repository. Okay. So here I need to specify my project name. What is my project name? What?
Cygnus.
No. Okay. Now, what is my
Account,
project name? Sorry?
account, account,
No.
account.
Organization.
No. Try to understand this. Okay.
System
So
API name.
system API name. Okay. Someone told me. Okay. So now what we created, we are holding multiple resources under this particular project. So what is this thing, guys? Okay, we are saying system API. So it is also nothing but one of the project that we are creating inside my Anyone Studio. Okay, so my Bitbucket is nothing but I'm creating a new project for this particular thing. Okay, so let us try to see it. Okay, where is my this thing? Just a moment. Where is my Bitbucket? Yeah, here it is. Okay, so this is nothing but my system API. Whatever the design center asset that you are creating, the same name we are trying to use it here also. Okay, what is my design center asset name? Just a moment. Yeah, this is my system API name. Okay, let me copy it. And I am trying to create my repository with this thing. Okay, and what is my repository name? One in the same. Okay, so it is not a private repository. Let us make it as public. Okay. But inside this particular thing, I mean, so you don't require to create this thing. But for every system API, for every experience API, what you will have is a definite repository. Okay, why we are creating like this? For your entire project, there will be no big repository will be there. Okay, so every minute project, every system API, every process API will have a dedicated repository. Okay, so let us try to create this way and we will try to see it. Okay, let me click on create repository. It might confuse you. Okay, so in our, the basic training, we'll only create one repository. In that particular repository, we will put every project, whatever the explanation that we are giving it, we will directly put it and we will commit it directly. You will try to get it. Okay, so you will see multiple projects under one particular repository. But in your real-time scenarios, every system API will have a separate repository. Every experience API will have a separate repository, which means that inside your project, there will be something like a 200 or 300 repositories will be there. Okay, it is not like, one particular repository we are maintaining all the code. Okay, so it will be having something like an isolated repository for each and every system API and experience API. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Or some confusion? That's okay. See, even first time when I went to some project, okay, so even I have similar confusion. Okay, earlier I know Git and Bitbucket, okay, but I was in an impression that hey, all experience APIs and all system API will have only one repository. That is my assumption before going to project. After going inside project, my perception will change. Okay, why? Because in this particular system API, multiple project teams are using it. They are trying to add multiple resources. Okay, not only your your project within a epic, multiple projects will be there. Everyone is using multiple system APIs. Okay, some people will try to add one incident resource. Some other project will try to add some accounts resource under this particular system API. So for every system API and experience API, we have a dedicated repositories. Okay, so I created this particular project. Okay, so what about branches? What do you mean by branches? Do you know what is a branch? Anyone can tell me what is a branch?
Where we can work like part of the
Creating the sub files or subfolders like that.
Okay, so branch is nothing but we are talking about a specific feature or specific bug or specific environment, guys. Okay, so let us say I have my master branch here. Okay, so in your projects, my master branch is nothing but whatever we have in our production environment, which means that whatever the code my actual users are using is resided in my master branch. Okay, so similarly, what we have multiple environments we will have. Okay, so what we are actually creating it. So in this particular requirement, what we are actually creating it, we are creating something like post organizations, right? So we are trying to create some feature. Okay, a new API, we are trying to add it inside this particular system API. Okay, so now what I will try to create, I will try to create a feature branch. Okay. So what is the name of this particular feature branch is nothing but my Jira ID. Okay. Do we have a Jira ID that we already created it? Do we have it?
Yes.
Okay. So this is my Jira ID. Okay. So in this particular Jira ID, what we are trying to do, we are trying to create a post organization method. Okay. So based upon this particular Jira ID, I am going to create a new branch. Okay. So let me click on it. Let me copy this particular Jira ID. Okay. So let me copy it. Now where I'm trying to do, I'm going here and I'm clicking on create branch. Okay. And I'm going to specify my Jira ID. Okay, so this is my Jira ID. Okay, so the moment I'm seeing this particular Jira ID, I can go to my Jira and I can see what we are trying to develop it. Okay, so the moment I'm going to my Bitbucket, I can see what is the code that I'm trying to update it here. Okay, so this is how you are going to do it. Okay, so let us try to create some branch. Okay, what is the type of this particular branch? What we are adding it? Are we fixing something or are we adding some feature?
Adding some feature.
We are trying to add some feature. We are trying to implement some API. Okay. So this is something like I need to select it. What kind of branch we are creating? A feature branch we are trying to creating it. And what is the branch name? That is nothing but whatever the Jira that I have created. So I'm going to create a new branch. Okay. So I created this. Okay. So how many of you know what is a cloning? Do you guys know what is cloning?
Like duplicate of the same.
We need
Guys, even if you are not comfortable with Git, just let me know so that even I can explain that what is a Git. Because even if your guys are not, no mule, I'm pretty much fine as a team lead or as an architect. Okay. But if you are not comfortable with Git, okay, I'm not going to take you in. Okay. So as a developer, you should know about the source versioning. Okay. So please clearly tell me, do you know Git or not? So that at least 1 hour, maybe one class, I can take it on Git if you are not comfortable with Git.
No.
Okay. One
Basic,
person is saying, okay, basic, basic in the sense, do you know branches? Do you know how to pull the branch information, how to clone the branch, something, right?
yes, commands we know, Amar.
Commits, okay. What else you know?
Yeah, that's it.
Take a class.
Okay. Mm, okay, fine, no issue. So we'll try to see some of the things in Git also. Okay. But try to get some information, guys. Okay. So before you're coming tomorrow, so get some information on Git. Okay. So that I can explain some other things. Or meanwhile, we are trying to deploy or we are trying to deploy multiple APIs, right? So we are extensively using this particular Git. Okay. But at least what is a branch or what is how to clone this particular branch information to your local repository. These things you should aware of it. Okay. So I will try to tell you how to clone it, but eventually you should not have any confusion on what is this particular cloning. Okay. Cloning is nothing but, so this is the repository I created in my online repository. So I need to take this particular code back to my local repository, guys. So that is nothing but cloning. Okay. So I will try to clone a branch, okay, which I created here. Okay. I already created a branch. Branch is nothing but I'm trying to, put some source code related to one particular feature inside this thing. అంటే నేను ఒక బ్రాంచ్ అని ఎప్పుడైతే అంటానంటే ఆ పర్టికులర్ స్పేస్ లో నేను ఏం చేస్తానంటే ఏదైనా ఒక కొత్త ఫీచర్ యాడ్ చేసిన కోడ్ ని మాత్రమే పెడతానండి. ఓకే. లేదా ఒక పర్టికులర్ బగ్కి సంబంధించి ఆర్ సమ్ డిఫెక్ట్ ఏదో వచ్చింది, సమ్ ఇష్యూ ఏదో వచ్చింది, దాన్ని నేను కోడ్లో ఫిక్స్ చేశాను. ఆ కోడ్ అంతా తీసుకుని ఒక స్పెసిఫిక్ బ్రాంచ్ లో పెడతాను. సో బ్రాంచ్ ఇస్ నథింగ్ బట్ లెట్ us సే యూ హ్యావ్ సమ్ ర్యాక్ ఆర్ మీ దగ్గర ఒక వార్డ్రోబ్ ఉందనుకోండి. ఒక స్పెసిఫిక్ ర్యాక్ లో మీరు ఏం చేస్తారు, ఒక కైండ్ ఆఫ్ క్లోతింగ్ మెయింటైన్ చేస్తుంటారు, రైట్? సో సిమిలర్ వాట్ వి విల్ ట్రై టు డూ ఏ, ఒక స్పెసిఫిక్ ఫీచర్ ని నేను ఏం చేస్తానంటే ఒక పర్టికులర్ బ్రాంచ్ లోనే మెయింటైన్ చేస్తుంటాను. ఓకే, వన్స్ ఇదంతా కంప్లీట్ అయిన తర్వాత నేను ఏం చేస్తానంటే దీన్ని ఒక అన్ని మిగిలిన ఫీచర్స్ అన్నిటితో కూడా నేను మర్జ్ చేస్తాను. Okay, that particular merging and everything we will try to say it. But what we are trying to see here is we are creating a new branch. Okay, whatever post organizations that we are implementing it, we are trying to push that particular source code only to this particular feature branch. Okay, so is there any confusion in this particular point?
We create the Jira ID for each resource path, or how?
Sorry,
We create a Jira task for
Right.
each resource path, or
yeah, so in general a proper standard project will try to create each individual resource. Okay, some people will try to create API level, Jira API level for entire experience API, system API. They will try to create one particular Jira. Okay, but we will not follow that particular approach. I mean, so most of the projects will not follow that particular approach. It is very lame. Okay, so the moment I'm looking at this particular Jira, so this particular Jira is talking about only one particular resource, whether it is system API or experience API. So this is more constructive way. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, fine guys. Maybe it is overburden for your head. Okay, but try to stick to me. Like initial 3 to 4 days it will be hard, guys. Okay, once you are comfortable with one particular API, the next API you are going to feed me up. Okay, hey, create this thing, create this thing. So you need to tell me that. So you will habituated to that particular thing. Okay, so it is not all about like just trying to listen to this. Okay, so whatever we are trying to do it, we are trying to go to repeated stuff. Okay, we are trying to do the same stuff for experience API, we are trying to do it for system API. Okay, even if we are creating 2 more other APIs, we are going to deal with the same stuff. Okay, your Git, your Jira, everything we are trying to deal with the same stuff. Okay, but how we are dealing with, how we are enriching is important. Okay, that one we will try to enrich it one step. Okay, everything we will not put it in one particular day, but we will try to enhance it one by one. Okay, so any question? Okay, one of the interview question. Yeah, go on, Saujanya. How much? Okay, so Saujanya is asking some question in the chat window.
Hello, sir. This is Danpal.
Okay.
Danpal. Actually, Git వచ్చేసి Git లో పైప్ లైన్ రన్ చేస్తాం కదా సార్.
Git లో పైప్ లైన్ రన్ చేయరండి, మీ CI/CD లో రన్ చేస్తారు పైప్ లైన్.
CI/CD లో రైట్. CI/CD లో మళ్ళీ వాల్యూస్ ఇచ్చేసి వేరియబుల్స్ ఇచ్చేసి డిప్లాయ్ చేస్తారు కదా.
అవును, యా.
Okay.
So that we will try to see it in when we are actually discussing about CI/CD pipelines. Okay. We will try to integrate.
Okay, ఈ క్లాస్ లో స్ప్లంక్ లాగ్స్ కూడా ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తారా?
స్ప్లంక్ లాగింగ్ నేను యాక్చువల్ గా ట్రై చేయాలండి, అంటే మీన్స్ దాని ట్రయల్ వెర్షన్ క్యాపబిలిటీస్ ఎంతవరకు ఉన్నాయి అన్నది నేను చూడాలి, బట్ ఐ విల్ ట్రై టు మేక్ దట్ హ్యాపెన్.
ఓకే, కొన్ని కంపెనీస్ లో ఏమంటే స్ప్లంక్స్ యూస్ చేసుకుంటారు లాగ్ చెక్ చేసుకోనికి.
Obviously Splunk use చేస్తాం most of the time. Okay, so in case dedicated databases kanda we will try to use Splunk. Okay, so even that one we will try to target that. See, it is not just like only work a particular piece with the target kada. So every aspect we will try to target it. Okay, not only your development, we will try to target your deployment life cycles and your management life cycles also.
Even we want support side as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, support side mostly we will use Splunk, Git, and Postman.
I will try to teach you that.
Sure. Thanks.
Okay, so Saujanya is asking one question. One of the interview questions, someone has asked Saujanya that how much RAML we have used. What do you mean by that? How much RAML? See, for every API, we will try to use the RAML, Saujanya. Okay. If it is a process API, which is triggering by internal scheduler, then only we will not use RAML. Okay. If it is a SOAP API, we will not use RAML. So RAML is nothing but RESTful API modeling language. Okay. So 98% we will try to use RAML. No doubt about it.
How many APIs you created? That one the question. And how much RAML you created? That another question.
Okay, how many APIs that you have implemented? Okay, how much experience that you are putting in?
3 years experience. No, actually, it how much RAML అంటే నేను చెప్పలేకపోయినా అంటే APIs అంటే చెప్పగలుగుతాను కానీ
హౌ మచ్ RAML కదండి బేసికల్ గా మీ RAML లో ఏమి యూజ్ చేశారు అన్నది మేబీ హిజ్ ఇంటెంట్. ఓకే, హౌ మచ్ RAML అంటే జనరల్ గా ఏమవుతుంది అంటే ప్రతి ఏపీఐని మనం RAML ద్వారానే క్రియేట్ చేస్తాం. ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ అ రెస్ట్ఫుల్ ఏపీఐ డెఫినెట్లీ వీ విల్ గో విత్ RAML. ఓకే, సో వెరీ మైన్యూట్ కేసెస్ విల్ నాట్ గో విత్ RAML. విచ్ కేసెస్? ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ అ ప్రాసెస్ ఏపీఐ, ఓకే, JMS ద్వారానో లేకపోతే పబ్సబ్ ఆర్కిటెక్చర్ అని మీరు విన్నారా? JMS, Anypoint MQs or something like that. Yeah. Guys, please go on mute. Whoever is not talking. Okay. So, ఈ kind of scenarios కానీ లేకపోతే SOAP related APIs ఏమైనా dedicated SOAP APIs ఏదైనా ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేసేటప్పుడు మాత్రమే RAML యూజ్ చేయండి. Most of the cases we will try to use RAML. And whenever they are asking what are the concepts that you have used or whatever the best practice that you have used inside your RAML, you need to describe about your traits, resource types, data types. Okay, everything you need to mention. Okay, it is not just like we created some RAML. So try to describe your RAML in a proper structure. Okay, what are the components that you have used? సో మీరు ఈ ట్రైట్స్ రిసోర్స్ టైప్స్ ఇవి యూజ్ చేసామని ఎప్పుడైతే చెప్పారో your interviewer, what they will try to do, they will try to ask what is a trait, what is a resource type. Okay, which means that you are indirectly telling to your interviewer, hey, ask me this particular question, trait, resource type. Okay, ask about data type. I can tell you something like that. You are trying to push it. అంటే మీకు అడిగే ఒక 20 క్వశ్చన్లో మీకు తెలిసిన క్వశ్చన్లు అడగమని వాడికి మీరు ఇండైరెక్ట్ గా హింట్ ఇస్తున్నట్టు. విచ్ మీన్స్ దాట్ అవుట్ ఆఫ్ 20 క్వశ్చన్స్ ఒక 10 క్వశ్చన్స్ మీరే హింట్ ఇచ్చి అడిగారు అనుకోండి, ఆ 10 క్వశ్చన్స్ మీరు చెప్పగలిగే క్యాపబిలిటీ ఉంటే ఆబ్వియస్లీ మీ ఇంటర్వ్యూ క్రాక్ అయ్యే సినారియోస్ చాలా పాసిబిలిటీస్ ఎక్కువ అవుతాయి. ఓకే, యువర్ సినారియోస్, ఓకే, సినారియో బేస్డ్ క్వశ్చన్స్ అంటే వాడికి తెలిసిన సినారియోస్ ఏవో అడుగుతారు, బట్ ఇవి స్ట్రైట్ ఫార్వర్డ్ క్వశ్చన్స్ అండి. ఇప్పుడు మీరు ఈ కాన్సెప్ట్స్ అన్ని నేను యూజ్ చేశాను అని మీరు చెప్పగానే వాడి మైండ్ లో రిజిస్టర్ అవుతుంది. ఓకే, ఈ పర్టికులర్ కాన్సెప్ట్స్ వీడికి తెలుసు, ఈ పర్టికులర్ కాన్సెప్ట్స్ లో వీడి లెవెల్ ఆఫ్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ఎంత ఉంది అని చెప్పి వాళ్ళు అడుగుతారు. ఓకే, సో కమింగ్ టు యువర్ క్వశ్చన్, 90% we will try to use RAML. Okay, a very specific scenarios we will not use RAML. So that is something like SOAP APIs and a process API which is triggered by schedulers or some JMS techniques. Clear?
Okay.
All right. So any other question, guys?
యాక్చువల్గా సిమిలర్ క్వశ్చన్ నా ఇంటర్వ్యూలో కూడా వచ్చింది సార్. అది ఏంటంటే నేను జస్ట్ 2 years ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ పెట్టాను. RAML యాజ్ ఏ డెవలపర్ 2 years ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఉన్న మీరు కంప్లీట్గా డెవలప్ చేస్తారా, లేదంటే కనుక మేనేజర్ వైజ్ లేదంటే సీనియర్ డెవలపర్స్ ఎవరైనా క్రియేట్ చేసిన RAMLతో మీరు డెవలప్మెంట్ స్టార్ట్ చేస్తారా అని అడిగారు.
సో జనరల్ గా ఆర్కిటెక్ట్స్ లేకపోతే మీ టీమ్ లీడ్స్ చేస్తారు అన్న పర్సెప్షన్ ఉంటుందండి, బట్ దట్ ఈస్ ఓల్డ్ సినారీ. రైట్ నౌ యాజ్ ఎ డెవలపర్ యూ నీడ్ టు డెవలప్, వెదర్ యూ హ్యావ్ 2 years experience, even some people who are freshers, we will try to ask them to work on RAML because we already have existing system APIs, experience APIs. They can refer that particular system API and they can create this particular RAML. Okay, so నిజంగా how much complex this RAML will be? నిజంగా కాంప్లెక్స్ అంటారా మనకి ఒక RAML క్రియేట్ చేయడం అనేది? Nothing, right? So it is a easy thing. Okay, we don't require to depend on some other technical lead or architects to define this particular RAML. So as a developer you need to develop it. Okay, so that particular perception, like, your architects or your team leads are going to develop your RAML is vaulting, like, 5 years back thing. Okay, don't put it that way. So as a developer, you will work on that particular RAML part. Okay, సో మీరు ర్యామల్ ఎప్పుడైతే వర్క్ చేశారో దాని మీద కూడా కొన్ని క్వశ్చన్స్ పడే అవకాశం ఉంది, అండ్ యూ క్యాన్ యూస్ దట్ పర్టికులర్ క్వశ్చన్స్ ఫర్ యువర్ ప్రాబిలిటీ టు గెట్ యువర్ ఇంటర్వ్యూ. ఓకే, సో డోంట్ put it something like, hey, నేను ర్యామల్ డెవలప్ చేయలేదు అని మాత్రం చెప్పొద్దు. ఓకే, సో యాజ్ ఈవెన్ మీకు ఒక 6 months ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ ఉన్నా, సో అట్లీస్ట్ యాజ్ ఏ లీడ్ ఆర్ ఆర్కిటెక్ట్, I was expecting you to work on that particular RAML. Okay, you can refer your existing APIs and you can create your RAML. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any other question? Nothing else? Just a moment. I'm stopping the session.